Welcome, everybody. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. I'm Ricky. This is Dennis. You're watching Den Excelsior, the mostly Marvel podcast. What's up?
Sorry, I just had to turn my phone off because my mom called
Oh.
me right as it started, and apparently do not disturb doesn't work for your mom. I don't know. Like it rang. It rang anyways. I had it on do not disturb.
That's good, right?
I guess. So yeah. I mean, hey mom,
Well, this is awkward. Yeah.
if you're watching, that's
Like, comment, and subscribe. And
yeah. Like, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, what's going on? We had Thanksgiving last week, and that's why we didn't do the show. We wanted to do the familial obligations and hang out and chill and even though there was new nerd content, we just decided to take a break for the week. So how was your Thanksgiving, Ricky? I never asked you that.
my Thanksgiving was great. Got to going to a different, I'll say different family, a family that is not your normal Thanksgiving family. There's always new food. There's always new stuff going on. You know, it's like a little surprise. You don't know how people cook the mashed potatoes. You're going to get white gravy, you're going to get brown gravy. So it's like a mystery box of food.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's kind of true about going to dinner at someone's house anytime. But yes.
Yeah.
Insightful thoughts here.
Yeah.
On Excelsior.
Thanksgiving food is trash, though. That's my hot take. Not anyone's in particulars, but like there's a reason why we only eat it once a year. If I'm ever given the privilege to host a Thanksgiving, it's going to be a brisket. So
I think the turkey is the most inferior bird that we eat as a society.
Yes.
I think all other birds are better. I would rather
100%.
have quail, pheasant, duck, chicken, ostrich, all of them. All of them are better than the turkey. The turkey is, I don't know why that poor animal got associated with this weekend, this last weekend.
The big turkey market.
I know. It's the turkey lobbyists. But did you manage to do anything nerdy on your weekend?
Well, I watched the required content for this show. And what else? I've watched I finished Goosebumps. I thought that show was over. That show like ends, and then there's like 2 more episodes, and then it ends again.
I'll probably never know.
That show's amazing. It just with how campy and cheesy it is. I love it to death. I know they're not going to make more, but I really do hope they make more. But the one little nerd content stuff I've been binging on, I actually just watched the most recent episode today. The Godzilla show, the Gods and Monsters. We talked about it earlier during our pre-meeting, but it basically turns the Gareth Edwards Godzilla, like the opening credits where they're doing like all the old timey footage. They turn that into a show, and it's really cool. Because they pull off the human element that's needed to make a Godzilla story work when there's not a lot of Godzilla in it.
So is Godzilla barely in the show?
There's a lot of monsters, but he's like, it's the presence, kind of like how the first movie is. The presence is more like it's the scary part is like when it's gonna happen, but they tie the human stuff up with Kurt Russell, and Kurt Russell's a good actor, and so is his son. So they do really good work playing the same character. Also, the guy from what's the show? The comedy show set in Rancho Cucamonga. The
Workaholics.
Yes, one of the Workaholics guys is in the show as well.
Is it Anders Holmes, or is it Blake Anderson, or is it
not the curly hair guy, and not the famous one, the most famous?
Not Adam Devine.
Not Adam Devine.
So it's
the
Anders
third
Holmes.
one. Yes.
Anders Holmes. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
He's good.
Yeah. No. He's a decent actor. I like him. I'll check that show out eventually when I re-up my subscription to Apple Plus. I don't do it regularly because I don't think there's enough content on there for me to normally So I just kind of binge like for a month. I'll do that.
It's like prime Godzilla fan time because you got this. There's apparently Godzilla minus one, the new
The new
Japanese,
the new
I guess
Japanese movie.
Japanese mainline Godzilla movie, which is apparently pulling some crazy critic scores. And then
Yeah.
like Godzilla versus Kong 2 is coming out here in the next couple months. They fight again.
Oh my god.
Godzilla X Cons are buddies this time around because
Oh
everybody's
my
our last
goodness.
movie.
Okay. All right. I mean, I've just never been a fan.
We were
I've never
watching
been a fan of
98
that.
Godzilla at some point during the show.
Oh,
That
all
movie's
right.
my crypt or my crack right there.
I'll 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 take that bullet because I throw a lot of bullets your way. Specifically, I'm pretty sure, I don't know if you know this, but so just for anybody tuning in today, our plan is to discuss the latest 4 episodes of Invincible. There was not a new episode this week because they actually are on the mid-season break. So
Mhm.
we just kind of thought we'd recap and review and the mid-season so far. But what that means is there's no Invincible this week. There's no Invincible next week. So we got to pick something for you to watch. And I was kind of lobbying for it earlier today. And I really, really think you got to watch it. You got to watch Die Hard for the first time
It's
ever,
going
Ricky.
back in theaters.
That's so cool. You got to watch it, Ricky. You got
I
to watch
won't
it.
commit now, but
You're
if we
committing
can
now.
time it where I go to the theaters and watch it, you might have me.
When is it coming back in theaters?
Now we're gonna check.
I mean,
Uh,
just watch it at home and just
no, you
and
gotta
just
watch the movies. I to
you
be
don't.
fair, I just never liked. I've seen the fourth Die Hard, the one with Justin Long and the Guy Ritchie in that movie,
I have no idea, dude.
but I think I just never seen the original Die Hard. The fourth Die Hard was made for a younger audience, hence why I probably liked it when I was 13. Um, but the discourse around is it a Christmas movie? Is it not a Christmas movie? I just never cared to watch it. And then I think Alan Rickman died, and then that it's like, eh. And then Bruce Willis is
But that's
going
why
through some
you
stuff.
watch
I
it
don't.
because those two actors were in their prime then, man.
Is
That
that
was
prime
that
Bruce Willis?
that was Bruce Willis when he was like a
That's the
shooting
springboard.
star.
Okay.
He was already famous because of a TV show he was on. And then he made the jump, excuse me, he made the jump from TV to movie in Die Hard, and it was a critical success. Like that movie it was, at least in my mind, it was. I want to believe.
Comes out Friday.
Oh, this Friday?
Yeah.
I mean,
I can stream it.
I
We
mean,
also got Aquaman. We got one more tentpole.
yeah, but
Uh,
Aquaman's in 2 weeks, right?
yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to help us have something fun to discuss next week. All right. We all know we're doing Aquaman. That's a given. We're gonna do it. You can
Is that
count on us. Yeah, it's a mostly Marvel podcast, but we will never shy away from
professional courtesy?
DC content. I love DC stuff, so
December
it's gonna
21st is
happen.
Aquaman. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we'll see if we talk about it that week or the week after, but we will be talking about Aquaman before this year ends. That's for sure. Promise. Cool. Well, I guess what have I been nerding
Yeah,
out
what
on?
have you been doing?
I finished Spider-Man 2 like a week ago.
The game?
Yeah, the game.
Is it better than rank the three most recent Spider-Man games?
Miles is my favorite of the 3.
Number 2?
The first one.
Okay. So this is
my problem is like I think
I don't
that
disagree. I haven't
I
beaten it, but
think
I don't disagree so far.
I think that the first one and Miles dare to be different in cool ways, and I think this one, the newest one, doesn't do anything I haven't seen before.
Are we talking spoilers or can we?
We don't have to, but I mean, I'm just saying. I think the plot line of Harry, Harry being the recipient of the symbiote, which is kind of teased at the end of the first game. Honestly,
Yeah.
like that's not new ground. That's been done in cartoons and other media and stuff. So, like,
I I
I wasn't
I've
excited
not
about it.
beaten the game, but I'm I guess a little over halfway now. But I really enjoyed the parts before the character Venom comes in. I like the Harry and Peter dynamic a lot.
It's all it does is it feels like a do-over on Amazing Spider-Man 2, the movie. Like it feels like they do it the same way. Harry was just missing for
I
years and years and
rewatched
years.
parts of that movie this week just because like I remember I wanted to watch the electro fight and then I wanted to watch the end fight to see how they ended up how he ended up the Goblin again or the new Proto Goblin, whatever the hell he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, he's a Green Goblin, whatever. Yeah, but I think yeah, there was just so many things going on in that game that just weren't. They were fan service without context, like without rally like cool context. And I'll be honest, like Craven is like the first, main villain of the story. Kind of like the last game, how like in the first game, it's like it's kind of like Mr. Negative for most of the
Yeah,
game, and then Dr. Octopus becomes the big villain at the end. It's a similar thing, except the pacing I think was a little better in the first game, and so the second game, like Craven, he wears out his welcome. It just becomes it's so
yeah.
much. It's so
There's
much.
God, that scream fight's bad.
Oh, I like that part,
I'm not
but
a
it is
fan
I
of
get it.
like of
It's fan service for fan service or
well,
for out
it's
of
bad in
context.
the sense I think it's just bad game design. I'm just not a fan of like fight the thing. All right, health goes down, cutscene. Fight the thing again, health goes down,
Yeah.
cutscene. Fight the thing again,
Yeah,
and then when you do it 4 times, it's like, God damn, I
yeah.
just want to move on.
It's a bit much. I think the entire game kind of insists itself upon you a little sometimes. So I think it's funny because IGN got a lot of flack, and I think the reason why is because they did a good job of explaining how the game improves on a lot of mechanics and stuff
The
from the
Spider-Man
previous 2
parts of the game
games.
are good. I think it's better.
Yes,
It is the best Spider-Man game
s-
in that regard.
but it's not. It's not the best Spider-Man game because the story doesn't serve anything of real value, and that's the weird part. So I get that IGN, was like it's the technically the best Spider-Man game ever made, but we're gonna give it an 8. And then that really pissed off a lot of fans. But I get it, honestly.
Yeah,
It's a good game. It's just not better than
yeah.
the other two or other ones. Yeah.
But that doesn't
But
mean
we're
it's a
also
bad game.
yeah, we're also just spoiled. You know what I mean? Like there's so many Spider-Man games, so it's hard. It's hard. But I'm kind of glad you asked me that because I did have something that I wanted to do in a little while after we get through the news. I kind of wanted to like on the subject of that, like it kind of inspired me to maybe like have a draft of like what you and I would consider the best superhero games. So I'm gonna give you a little time to think about that. So we'll talk about the news, and then before we get into Invincible, we're gonna do a little draft here.
All right.
Cool.
All right, let's do it. What have you been watching anything?
I have been watching Fargo. I've been rewatching
Okay,
Fargo.
I didn't watch Fargo. You told me to watch Fargo. I did not watch
I've been
Fargo.
rewatching Fargo. The other than Invincible. Invincible is like the only really nerdy
Oh,
thing I have watching right now.
Fargo's one of those shows because this is fourth season, fifth season.
The fifth season. Yes.
Like I get like the Breaking Bad. I've never seen Breaking Bad, and I feel like I can't now, right? Like I'm not a binger,
Mm, you
but
can. You can watch it.
like I know once I commit to watching Fargo, I'm gonna feel like an adult. It sounds weird. Like that's an adult show to me versus like
It is an adult show. It's intense. It's about like protecting the ones you care about from the wolves out there in the world, it's pretty scary. Like, when you run
It's
into
real
crazy.
world scary.
Yeah, yeah. Because you just never know when somebody's going to show up and shoot you in the back of the head.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's fiction. It's still fiction. I think the other fun thing about it is that it always starts by saying it's based on a true story, but it's not. They like to play with the idea of what true is, or what true stories are. So it's a true story, as in it's a really good story, but yeah, no, that's all I've been nerding out on lately, because it's mostly just uh I've been playing a pretty good amount of Baldur's Gate 3 because I love it so much, and so
You need to get back into it.
that's my favorite game.
I need my
Period.
clan, my posse. I need a clan or posse. And
Oh,
to
you
that
need
point,
a clan.
like, I figured to ask you now. I need to get our group chat on board to hop in back in the GTA. Those if you have a group of people in GTA, it's a party, man,
Yeah, I'm
with
sure
all
it
the
is.
dumb shit you do. But I was trying to pivot that into a segue for the news.
I teed up the news earlier, and
You did, and
you
I totally butchered that.
did,
Well,
you did. It's okay.
GTA will be in the news next week, but we're gonna talk about the news that happened this week. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. If you know video games,
I guess.
I feel like Grand Theft Auto is like a big thing, right?
Sure.
When that trailer drops next week, it'll be like on CNN. Mm,
I never cared so much really about the stories of GTAs. I just like to kind of hang out in that world for a little while and then be like, I'm good with this. I'm done.
yeah, that's what they're good for.
Yeah.
Well, I got some comic book news for us. Did you hear about this?
I have not. But
Marvel has rewritten basically Nightcrawler's origin story between him and Mystique.
okay.
So before we get with the new one, do you know that origin story between the two? Or basically I guess
Uh
Nightcrawler's origin.
Nightcrawler is the child of Mystique and Azazel. And I believe she tries to kill the baby, but it bamfs because it's born blue, with the tail and fuzzy and all that stuff. And I think she tries to throw it in a river, and it bamfs, and next thing you know, it gets adopted by a monastery and stuff like that.
Well,
Um,
I guess in recent times, Mystique has basically been in a relationship with Destiny,
yeah, it's always
and
it's been implied for decades that she and Destiny are lovers, but because of the times, they weren't able to necessarily be as open about it, but now they are, right? Yeah.
but the new kind of origin is Destiny is the mother of Mystique, or sorry, Destiny is the mother of Nightcrawler, and the father is Azazel, who who basically Mystique turned into Azazel, and she in that state was able to transform her full biology into Azazel. They had a baby, and then Mystique has took the baby back. There's a little more
So
mind
so
wipiness.
so you're saying Mystique is the father?
Yes, Mystique is now the father of Nightcrawler, and Destiny's the mother.
Okay. All right. Cool. I mean, sure. I don't.
Comics.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's still technically Azazel and Mystique's kid, so whatever. Like
Yeah, I guess
you
yeah.
know,
Genetically, it's probably still the same kid.
yeah. They just added a second mom into the mix, so
Yeah.
sure. Okay. I guess
Next,
that's. But why? Why did they do that? They explain
um,
why? Did they say why?
to sell comic books.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool. That makes sense. Keep going.
Keep going. Next bit of news actually from October, and I meant to add it back in there. Totally lapsed my mind. But are you familiar with Marvel Contest of Champions?
I am. It's the fighting game where you just like randomly tap on the screen until your character
Mobile
beats the other
fighting
character.
game. Yes.
Yes, on your mobile phone. Yes.
They added a brand new character, a brand new Marvel character called Chi Eth. Um, she is a First Nation superhero, and she's inspired by First Nation people, and she has the fighting strengths of Brother Grizzly and the skill to heal from Sister Eagle. And I thought it was cool. I haven't recalled the last time a comic book, I guess, character. Is she a comic book character technically?
Well,
Being
she
intro
is she is once they add her to the comics.
exactly, but I wanted to peg the question. Aside from Harley Quinn, who is your favorite non-comic book character?
I mean, what's his name? Arrow is Bay. You know?
Arrow. What? Oh, Aero.
Yeah,
Where's she from?
she's from that other mobile game, Future Fight.
Really?
hmm
Wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think Wave is also too. If I can't remember.
Are they like
Arrow definitely is.
they're
They
mutants, right?
let yeah, but they with I think with Arrow they were just trying to create a Chinese American character. Like they're just trying to fill out, have more and more representation among different groups.
There
And
were
so,
some leaky leaks on Shang-Chi too. And Arrow and Wave's name popped up.
yeah. Yeah, no, the video games, it's actually it's not as uncommon as you think nowadays. They've been the games that are successful get get to do these kind of things. Um, so yeah, it's happened more recently than you'd think in other games. So it's cool though. It's cool. I like seeing characters that I didn't know anything about, and then being like, I want to know more. Like
We're getting
that was my
another cool new character in What If, right? That's
right. Yeah, another
First
Native
Nation.
American. Yeah, First
Mhm.
Nation. Yeah, we're gonna get another one in What If. So yeah, it's I think it's in the spirit of Stan Lee, right? Which is like Stan Lee wants he wants the Marvel universe to grow beyond, the few people that were in charge of coming up with these things. And so I think when it becomes a collaborative experience, when more and more people get to put their creative stamp on stuff, then it becomes, you get more buy-in, really, is what you get, right? So like the more people that are allowed to say,
Make
hey, I
that net
want this,
bigger.
yeah, I want this kind of thing represented in my Marvel universe. And if the powers that be allow that to happen, then we all benefit from it, right? So I think it's cool. I think it's an awesome thing. For the record, I believe Contest of Champions was the first place that Venom Pool appeared as well, which has also been made into
Oh God,
uh,
isn't that
a,
toy, right?
a Marvel Legends toy. Yeah, and same
That's
goes for
where War Machine
there's
Punisher.
there's another toy from, I have multiple toys. I think, yeah, that one too. Also the Civil Warrior.
Yep.
It
Okay.
looks like an
Yeah.
Iron Man with a Captain America motif, but it's not the Iron Patriot. Yeah. Yeah. So Contest of Champions is contributed a few new creations. I would say this is the most original one that we've seen so far.
I wonder how much
Do-
money this game makes.
A lot. A lot. Yeah.
I remember playing it years ago, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
kind of neat to see it still going.
I played it for a minute and I was like, this is kind of boring. So, but the character models look really nice. They always look really cool.
Well,
So,
I
yeah.
hope Avengers King Dynasty isn't boring because it is now being written by Michael Waldron. So, for context, Michael Waldron, I guess, from the co-creators of the Loki series.
hmm
So that's season 1 and season 2, and he's already tapped to write Secret Wars. And after the shakeup with directors, he got tapped to do King Dynasty, which it feels
Didn't
like it should be like this
didn't
in the beginning.
didn't he have some input on Multiverse of Madness also?
I believe so.
I
Michael
feel like he
Waldron.
did. Yeah. I could be
Yes.
wrong. He wrote it, right?
You're right. Yep.
He wrote it. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've seen recently, but there's been a lot of interviews with Elizabeth
He's from Rick
Olsen.
and Morty. Rick and Morty writer.
He is from Rick and Morty, but
Yep.
there's been a lot of scathing like interviews going on where Elizabeth Olsen's been throwing shade at that whole movie because like I guess the people who were creating that movie never actually watched WandaVision. So she was getting kind of weirded out when she was like reading the scripts and the things that they wanted her to do. And the character just didn't feel like the character that she ended the season on, the series on. And she was like, did you guys watch WandaVision? No, we didn't get a chance to. And it's like, that's kind of weird. It's
a little gross.
It's a little gross, right? Because it's a very important part of who that character became. And then she does feel right. She feels a little bit more mustache twirly in Doctor Strange than she was at the end of WandaVision. At WandaVision, you feel like she's a sympathetic character, even though she did some really horrible things.
I feel like there was like a spotlight episode missing in between.
Yeah. Or like a Marvel Legends episode.
You don't really get her. You don't really see her. You see her with the Darkhold, but you don't really see her sad about her children.
Yeah.
But when she's like, crazy sad, yeah, it is a big jump.
Yeah. Random, slightly related thing. As I've told you, I've been rewatching Fargo. I've been watching it with my wife because she never watched the old ones. Back then, one of the reasons I wanted to watch it in the first place is because it's created by the guy who did Legion, Noah Hawley. And now in the later seasons of Fargo, he like writes and directs it. But back in the first season when FX gave him this show to work on, they didn't necessarily like entrust him with all that power. So he had people come in and direct. And I think the last half of the season, or at least the last back third, I noticed a name that was very familiar. Is Matt Shakman.
Matt Shakman directed an episode of Godzilla.
Oh yeah. He was the showrunner on WandaVision, and he also is the current person in charge of the Fantastic Four movie, right?
He's directing Fantastic Four, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's kind of cool. I mean, not to loop it back to Godzilla, but yeah, Matt Shakman directed one episode, and I think the story is co-written by Matt Fraction, who wrote the Hawkeye story, which the Hawkeye show is based off of, right?
Yeah.
A lot of names that I recognize pop up in those credits.
That's cool. Yeah, but I'm just so yeah, Michael Waldron, cool. We'll see how that goes with he's
you want now, the guy who introduced King to continue writing King in the MCU, right?
Not if the same guy's not playing King, I guess.
Right? I mean that's going on right now. We will probably know before the end of this year what that man's status is.
Fair enough. No, but I suppose that he should be the one running with the ball to make sure that there's an internal consistency if we do have to replace that actor, right? So sure, I guess. I don't like. And in fairness, the Russo brothers were not known for their action movies before they did action movies. You know what I mean? So they were, however, known for their action because they did the paintball episodes of Community, and those are like some of the best episodes of Community. But still, so I'm willing to give Michael Waldron a chance to see what he can do. Like,
yeah, he just needs to write, and then they fight, and then that gets taken to the people who do that.
Yeah, and the reality is, it's all previs, right? Yeah. Marvel already knows exactly what's going to happen through most of it. Like it's a community, it's a committee that has already determined the important scenes that are going to happen. So I mean, like I think mileage may vary, but when you're Sam Raimi, you get to put your stamp on a movie. When you're Michael Waldron, you're gonna run it by the numbers. Like you're gonna do it exactly the way Marvel wants you to do it. So it's good and bad.
He's a
It's
good
good.
success. Loki, I think Loki pulled some
Hey, I
pulled
won't
some
hate
neat
on Loki
strings. Yeah,
anymore. I won't do it
yeah.
anymore. Okay, it's now officially one of the best ones. It's
Yeah.
Loki pulled off quite the Hail Mary there at the end. It was pissing me off pretty good though. I'll give it
Yeah,
credit.
so if think of it like Avengers, King Dynasty, same thing with the Secret Wars.
Avengers King Dynasty better not piss me off though. Okay, that's all I'm saying. That's all. It's cool.
Oh,
It's cool.
well, that was my news that I pulled. And while we were doing the news, I pulled up my list that I have to see who has the best video game list.
All
Are
right,
you
so ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do something nice here for you, for everybody to participate in the comment section at a later time if you want, or you can comment along if you're live with us right now. But here's what we're gonna do: Ricky and I are gonna do a snake draft. That means whoever goes first gets to choose their top pick. Then the other person gets to do two. Then we go back to the other person for two, and then so and so on until we finish our top
are
five. Now, I just wanted
Mhm.
to set some rules here really quick. I
Okay,
know we kind of established them before, but I want to clarify some
lay 'em on me.
in case you have to make some changes. So when I approached you with the idea of, hey, we should do a superhero draft to kind of pick our top games, I probably meant to say games based on superhero franchises. That's probably what I meant to say. You know what I mean? Not so when I say
So
that,
fractured butthole would not work.
fractured butthole probably not going to work, and probably
This
not infamous. Okay, like I
okay.
think is that
Yeah,
fair? Is that
yeah, that's
fair?
fair.
Like
I forgot about
I just
Infamous.
yeah, infamous is actually on a lot of people's lists, but I don't love Infamous.
That
Like the way
Insomniac, right? That was Insomniac.
it's Insomniac
Yeah,
also. Yeah, it was their uh, demo reel
PS3. Yeah, for Spider
yeah,
Man.
yeah,
Yeah,
and they did one for PS4, I believe too. Yeah.
yeah.
But so games based on the actually known superhero IP is what I was really intending for this thing. And then the other rule I said before was, we're treating individual games as individual games, so you can't sweep a whole franchise with one pick. Okay,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
easy.
So with that said, we're gonna allow uh, you guys to choose in the comments from here to eternity which of us got the better draft.
So
So
I think for context, we're making the best overall list, not what I would deem the best or what Dennis would deem the best.
well, I'm going to do what I deem as the best, and you're going to
Oh,
try. You're going to try to
okay.
do that, but then it's up to the viewers to decide which of
Okay. All right. All
which
right.
of us is wrong
And
or
I
right.
get first pick.
You get first pick, sir. You get to go.
Arkham City.
Arkham
Batman Arkham
City.
City.
Do you want to say why it's that one?
Uh, I, personally, I think Arkham Asylum is the better game. It's like the Spider-Man argument we had earlier, but I recognize that a lot of people like Arkham City because you got to explore Gotham. You got the full Batman experience with that game versus Arkham Asylum. And
Okay.
that game gave us, I think, the fighting in that game is really what made Spider-Man happen. Like that is Spider-Man fighting is Batman fighting, and the way you kind of jump from enemy to enemy and stop and don't like you don't really stop. It's all very fluid. That all comes from that series. And if I had to pick that series, I'm picking the best one in it. So Arkham City.
All right. Okay. Cool.
What
I
you got?
get to. That's where you're
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
gates with Arkham City, huh?
Hmm.
All right. Okay. Here we go. I get to pick two now, right? My
Yep.
two. I'm going to start with what I realized is actually probably the superhero game I've played the most outside of DC Universe. I'm not counting. I'm not sorry. I'm not saying
Oh,
I'm not counting DC Universe. I'm just saying the fatal flaw of DC Universe is you never get to play as the characters. You know what I
that
mean?
game's still going.
I know it's still going, but I did play it a lot. But that's not on my list. My number one superhero game, Injustice 2. I believe that I have played that game more than any other superhero game, and it's partially because it's still got Kevin Conroy as Batman, but
Mhm.
it's also probably got one of the boldest storylines I've ever seen in a video
That game
game.
has a really good story,
It
and
has
it's
an
not it's
amazing
not
story.
long. It's like it's a very like
It's long
it
enough.
starts,
It's long
but it's
enough.
not. It's like they just do it. There's I don't think there's filler in that game, or what you would call filler.
Yeah, like it feels unfair to call that a fighting game because there's so much more story to it than there is
Yeah,
fighting. But I think it's a very compelling story. I think it's really well acted. I think they try where they can. The storyline is based on a story that was from the Justice League cartoon, but they kind of took it and just blew it out and made it super MA rated and just really violent and really dark. It's a really dark story, and I just love that game so much that like, and I love the many ways you can play it. It's got an AI battle mode that is just so freaking fun, and honestly, that that story, or I mean, that game had so many modes that I couldn't help but love it the most. Now, before I put this out here, we have a comment, but I'm not going to put that out there. I'm going to pick my number two pick. And I'm so glad that you just barely dodged the bullet on this one, Ricky. Because for me, Arkham Knight is my favorite of the
you
three
like the
Batman games.
Batmobile?
I love the Batmobile, and
Ah,
everything you said about Arkham City is true, but actually not true because you don't get all of Arkham, or you don't get all of Gotham City in Arkham City. You
yeah,
get a section. You get a section of Arkham of Gotham that's been changed into something
you still
weird,
get
right?
Crime
What's
Alley. That's what you want.
yeah, you do, but it's all like it's the whole part of the city has been like closed
Transport.
off and like transformed to be in the themes of like the Arkham characters and stuff like that. So as much as it's a really cool experience that takes like builds on the awesomeness of Arkham Asylum, which I also prefer to Arkham City. Um, I think I do, yeah. But for me, there's a few things that make Arkham Knight so much better. One being that the Joker's dead in this game, and yet he's still in this game, and he's in your head. He's in Batman's head, and I just think that's the coolest thing going on in the story is like you're trying to understand what the hell is happening, and they also play to the muscle memory that you've experienced over the previous two games. So, like grapple hook, right? It's just one of the most satisfying ways to climb buildings and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But in the third game, every now and then you grapple hook to the top of a building and bam, you just get a jump scare because the Joker's just right there in your face. And it scares the bejesus out of you. And I think it's a really cool game mechanic that only works because of the foundation set up by the previous two. So
I'll
no shade to the other two games, but I think that
sh-
Arkham Knight is the complete experience.
shout out to Arkham Asylum though for that Scarecrow mission
Oh
when
yeah.
the game
Yeah.
glitches is amazing.
Yeah.
And
So
the VR game's solid too.
I know, man. The VR game is awesome as well. But yeah, it's good to see Batman is currently representing all three of our picks so far. Kevin Conroy, all three of them. That's just to say, hey, this is the Mostly Marvel podcast, but that's how much we love our Batman. So keep it going. You get two picks now,
So
Ricky.
I get two. Okay.
Oh, by the way, this was what Joel said before I finished my picks. At this point, Ricky is winning, and I like
Well,
Injustice.
I'm gonna take it back. Number two for me and it's number one depending on what type of gamer you are. Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Or not 3, 2. Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Ooh, you
I
almost
mistake
screwed
you.
up.
I'm going to take you for a ride. It's
All right.
like one of the best fighting games ever, and it's a solid fighting game. Great
It's
looking pixel art. You get some of the best looking Marvel characters. One of the best Iron Mans, and one of the best Iron Man weapons. What is the not
proton
the
cannon.
proton cannon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Great game around.
You know my only problem with that game, it didn't make the cut on my list, but it is there on my backup list. My only problem with that game is I don't give a crap about the Capcom characters.
No one does.
I don't. When I play MVC, I never use the Capcom characters. I just won't do it. I won't do it. It's just gross to me. So, but I respect that. It's a good pick. It's a good pick. Gonna take you for a ride is iconic music. It just never stops.
Number 3, and I think I might get flack for this one. I'm a big Marvel Snap. Marvel Snap is probably the best Marvel game in past 5 years. I think I'll say that. I think it's better than both Spider-Man. It's a very different game, but that game is addicting. It's quick, tons of replayability, and you just get everyone in that game. Like I was thinking about it. I wanted to put Ultimate Alliance on this list. I really like those games because again, you get everybody in those games.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Snap trumps that. And what's neat is I think the card's powers, they really do a good job of reflecting whatever the person's real life powers are. They're through some means of magic. I think they.
Okay. One, I'm not shading. I'm not throwing shade on this one at all
Okay.
because it was on my list.
Okay.
So you're not even wrong for picking it. But I have it further down my list because I disagree with that point. I think that they try their best to make a card that can only ever have one ability reflect and encompass, a core aspect of a character. But I feel at the same time like there's characters that can't be properly represented because they have multiple things going on. You know what I mean? We get Wolverine's healing factor, but we don't get his berserker rage, or we don't get his
you get one.
senses.
You don't get them.
You get one. Spider-Man. We get his webbing ability, but we don't get his super strength. We don't get his spider sense. You know what I mean? So I feel you in that it's really cool to have these cards that like say that they're these characters, but I don't feel like they fully are integrated in a way that makes me feel like, yes, this is Spider-Man. Like this is, because if they did that, then I would play Spider-Man all the time in every game ever. But it's a good pick. I think you're on your other points, highly addicting, super fast, simple gameplay. It's great. So yeah, I got no problem with that one. Great pick. Good job. Good job. Is my turn for 2?
Yeah. So okay. You get. No, you get. Okay,
I get 2.
I get 2. And I get 1, and you get 1.
No, I get 2, and I get 2, and then I get 1.
Yeah.
You get 2 more. You get 2 more, and you're done.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. All right. So, we were talking about these briefly, and I think I kind of spoiled it a little earlier. I thought long and hard about this, and there's a lot of games on my list, and I knew I had to have a Spider-Man game on the list. There are a lot of Spider-Man games that I love, but I'm gonna honestly say, like, I'm gonna put Miles Morales as my pick for the Spider-Man game that I want represented on this list because one, it's PS5, great, amazing graphics, ray tracing, all this stuff. Two, I think it's such a fresh take to have a Spider-Man game that's completely devoted to somebody that's not Peter Parker. The closest we ever got before that was Shattered Dimensions, where we got multiple Peter Parkers. You know what I mean? And then I think the other thing I really prefer over Miles Morales, I prefer Miles Morales 2 over the other two is It doesn't wear out its welcome. I think that the shortness, the tightness of that game makes you more inclined to do the side quests because you just want to like milk it for everything it's worth because it feels short. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it feels short, but it is a good.
It
There's no like
sorry,
again back to the
it, it
filler.
it feels
It's
shorter than the other ones,
it's
is
a
what I mean to
complete
say.
Spider-Man game
Yes.
in the best ways.
And honestly, like after you play as Miles, it's really hard to go back and play as Peter
Yeah,
because
he's better
Miles is
powers.
better. He's better. He's got better powers. And so that was my problem I was having with Spider-Man 2 that was largely a game about Peter Parker. I kept wanting to play as Miles. He was better. So that's my Spider-Man pick. I know that's a controversial one because there's a lot of great Spider-Man games. Honestly, shout out goes out to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 game, which set the bar for every free roaming Spider-Man game ever. But my other pick, I'm gonna go with another game that I think does a great job of representing the Marvel universe and is out of left field a little bit. Lego Marvel Superheroes.
Ooh, those games are fun. That's the
Those games
one
are super fun and
loosely
they have
based on the MCU stuff, right?
kinda, yeah, but
Yeah.
they got like everybody. It's like
Yeah,
180
yeah, yeah,
characters in
yeah.
there, you know what I mean? You get to visit the whole Marvel universe, but in Lego form. Um, those games are awesome.
I
Like,
wish they
I
would
mean,
make more.
I know, I know. I also like the
Well,
DC ones are fun too,
Warner's
but you
lost
know,
the Lego license, so we might get more. But
yeah. But anyways, I thought that was an easy pick because of the same arguments you were making for Snap. Honestly, Lego Marvel Superheroes was my backup in case you pick Snap, so I had to do it. I had to do it. Yeah. All right.
so
You get your last two,
two and I'm done.
and then you're done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my last two, they're going to be Marvel games, and one's going to be my personal pick, and one's going to be the duh pick. So I'll put my personal one number 4, and that is the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
You son of a bitch.
I
You
love
son of
that
a
game when it
bitch.
came out.
I
I
kept it.
played the shit out of that game when it came out. It is
I,
so good.
I kept it.
You,
I kept it as my secret weapon.
oh my
I was
god, I love that
sure.
game.
I was sure you weren't gonna get that one. All
Um,
right.
the one thing I to be honest, I really don't remember much about that game except that I loved it as a kid. But the one thing I remember is you can take a car, rip it apart, and make it into boxing gloves. Like that was like a move you could do.
Yes.
And when he did that in the Incredible Hulk movie, or the Hulk did that same move, I think I just love that movie more than most because of that. And I'm
No.
sure he
Yeah.
did that in the comics at some point, but to see it done in live action because I had personally done it in a game, that connection is something that has stayed true all these years. And
It's a good
yeah,
pick, Ricky.
it's a good
It's
game.
a
It's a good game.
it's a good pick. Yeah.
I didn't also know like so the with the Ang Lee Hulk as a child, it really didn't make sense to me that the Hulk was like flying or like he was just jumping really far. I was like, that's dumb. The Hulk doesn't fly. But in that game, in my dumb 6, 7-year-old brain, it taught me like, oh, he's just jumping
Yeah. He's
because you jump
jumping
really
really
far in that
far.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's an
anyways,
excellent sandbox experience that takes like everything learned from the Spider-Man games that were so successful and says, how do we do that but for the Hulk? Unique and make it feel like it's uniquely for the Hulk. So yeah, good pick. Good pick.
number 5 is going to be Spider-Man 2, even though we just like spent the for most of the show shitting on it.
You're
I think
hilarious.
I will pick it on that technicality that I think it is the best Spider-Man video game, and by that I mean a game where you get to control Spider-Man through a city. I think it is the best one of those. The story, not all the way there, but in terms of Spider-Man being a vehicle and you controlling that vehicle through New York City, that game's amazing. Like my grievance is when we get some when in that game when you get in some of the cutscenes where you can't leave a certain areas. Like I get bored. Like I don't want to fight this thing. I just want to be swinging around. Like I don't want to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to be
yeah.
fenced in.
For me, the photo mode's everything in those
Yeah.
games. Yeah. All right. So I get one last pick, and you kind of scooped. You took my Hulk. You took my Hulk, man. That was unexpected. I thought that was my wild card that was going to get into
Mm.
there. I underestimated how old you or how young you were at the time. I could go Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2. It's a great game. It really is fun. I don't think that game aged well. So I'm gonna go retro. I'm gonna go before Ricky, I think, was even a person. Um, I'm gonna go the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game by Konami. I think those
Yeah, I guess it's a comic book game.
I think
Yeah,
those games ate so much of my quarters. Special shout out to
I
the
was crazy to
X-Men
go to the
arcade.
recent one.
The X-Men arcade games too were it's also by Konami. It's kind of a tie for me, but for between those two because I think both of them just gave you this experience of like I got to play as a team. So I got to get three of my friends at this arcade machine and we all got to play. Or if you're lucky, there's like a special, like I think 6-player X-Men arcade
Yeah, the
machine.
big ones.
Yeah, the big ones. But yeah, playing, yeah, and I know the new game, the new console game that was like a tribute to the arcade games of old is it's really fun. I love that game, but like it feels different because like the quarters is not a part of it. You know what I mean?
The
Like
money.
if you're not spending $15 to beat this game in one night, you're not doing it right. You know what I mean? So I have to go with those Ninja Turtle games because they got all the voices from the cartoons. It's pizza time,
How
like they
long
got
is that game? Like if you play it through.
probably like a half hour or 45
Really?
minutes, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Parents had to wait. They had to wait for their kids after the movies. Yeah. You'd have to like sit there and I don't know what my parents did when we play those games, but I have a lot of love for those games and I just think they did such a great job of taking something that was very beloved by a lot of people at that time and making it an interactive experience. So you decide in the comments who got the better list. Um, I still say I
Oh, we
did
should
because
add up the Metacritic scores of all our lists.
fair enough. You could do
That's a
that.
good one. Yeah.
We can put those in the comments, but for now, we should probably switch over to talk about the thing that we said we promised we talk about.
What was the thing we were talking about?
Invincible.
I tried to do the thing.
Nice, but you were too slow.
I was too slow.
Too slow. All right. So really quick before we get into this, I'm gonna get one spoiler warning. Two, I'm gonna give the quickest recap of the 4 episodes. Episode 1 was called "A Lesson for Your Next Life." In the aftermath of his father's betrayal, Mark struggles with his responsibilities as Invincible and encounters an unexpected enemy. In episode 2, in about 6 hours, I lose my virginity to a fish. That one was it's a summer break for Mark and his friends, but supervillains don't take a vacation. Mark is forced to face the consequences of Omni Man's double life. Episode 3, the missive, this missive, this machination. Mark starts his college career. Debbie struggles with her personal trauma, and Alan the alien returns home to find a new threat facing the coalition of planets. And then the final one that aired last week, it's called "It's Been a While." Mark answers the call to save an alien species, but it comes with unexpected personal consequences. There was the summary. I mean, it's a really brief like summary. What did you feel as I was recapping all 4 of those for you?
Not a lot has actually kind of happened. I feel like the pieces with the end of the most recent episode, I feel like we have all the pieces on the board now. Is that a bad assessment?
I never know with Invincible because I didn't read the books, so I'm never
Mhm.
I'm never certain what pieces are on the board or which ones are still left or remain to be placed. I will say that it seems a heavy part of the first few episodes was setting up Angstrom Levy, aka Sterling K. Brown's character, as a new villain that's going to be coming after Invincible, because weird circumstances, right? Like he's trying to like he's created a crazy network of
He
it's
like
like a count. It's
cancel
like
of reads himself
yeah,
into
he counts.
one. Yeah, he took all the reads and put their brain into his or
Yeah,
their
but then there
knowledge.
was, but it went horribly wrong, right? And so he got all mutated, and then all of his others are dead, and everybody died because of this. And so he's decided it's Invincible's fault, just because it happened to be that he for some reason he was building this machine on in Mark's universe, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
And so because of that, he has this weird power where he can travel to any dimension, right? Any multiverse, but he
yeah, he
can't.
can create a portal to a different dimension, and when he does, you end up in the same spot, but just
That's
in a
right.
different dimension.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting character. I don't know that like it was necessarily the thing that I wanted to be going into when the season started, right? Like I kind of wanted to deal more with what happened with Omni-Man, what and so they made you wait. They made you wait for a little
But
while,
yeah, he
right?
hasn't really. He just had his episode, and he hasn't really done much. He's just
Yeah, I mean, well, he has and he hasn't, but yeah, but then so we went 2 episodes of kind of toying around with this Angstrom Levy thing, and then in the third episode, it's kind of like this different thing going on where it's kind of two stories in one episode, right? And the first part of it is the Alan the Alien episode where you get to learn about what's been going on with Alan, and he gets to have a love scene, and Mark gets to have a love scene at the same time, and it ends with Alan completely getting murdered by the
I mean,
Viltrumites, right? Like,
yeah, he somehow lived through his beating, and then he gets murdered.
yeah, and so that was kind of sad because, like, you want to believe that Seth Rogen is going to be voicing this character for longer than that, and what if I'm wrong? I could be wrong, right? Maybe somehow Alan's back, but I don't know. I feel
He
like
looked pretty dead.
he's pretty dead, right? Yeah, he's pretty dead. Remind me, do you remember like, what was what was he doing? He was trying to keep the location of Mark secret, right?
Yeah, he well that and he was going to find. He was tasked with finding the mole in the other count.
Well, that's right. And then we learned the mole was Optimus Prime.
Yes, that was Optimus Prime.
I was weirded out by it. Like when I first heard it, my wife
Even the
was the one that
Optimus
said,
Prime voice.
yeah, my wife's like,
Is that
hey,
legal? Can you do that?
That's Peter. That's his voice, bro.
I mean, but like if that's
That's
not
his
his voice,
voice.
that's his Optimus Prime voice.
That's his voice, man. He's old now. But yeah, my wife was like, hey, that's Peter Cullen, right? And I was like, whoa, you know his name. Like, that's amazing. And so when they start talking about a mole, I was like, well, it's obviously him because no one would suspect Optimus Prime. And so, except I guess I did. I don't know. Was it surprising to you, the voice of Optimus
I
Prime?
thought it was a girl. I think they kind of framed it to be his love
Oh,
interest.
I assumed it was Optimus Prime. I know that's not his character's name. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, there was a mole among Alan's people or adopted peoples and stuff, and so yeah. But I honestly felt like the first 3 episodes were kind of just like, okay, we're doing some interesting things here, but like, can we please do the Omni-Man thing? And so episode 3 actually ends with some aliens coming to ask Mark for help. They're shapeshifters, and or I think they create a mental image. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And when they finally get Mark to agree to come help them, they go back to their planet, and they are greeted by his father, and that was the cliffhanger from the week before. And so this episode, this previous one, the last one, was kind of like everything for me, which is we get to learn like what Omni-Man went through after he betrayed Earth and revealed himself to be a conqueror, and then killed a lot of people. Right, he killed a lot of people, and then he beat the shit out of his son. Right, he literally knocked all of his teeth out. Right, he knocked all of Mark's teeth out, and left him there, and in this horrible state, and just left the planet. And you get to see that he pretty much like flew around the universe, just mopey, sad, not knowing what to do with himself, until I think he was actually, I think he was toying with the idea of killing himself in a black hole, right? Like I think that's what
That's what they
was.
kind of allude to. Like,
Yeah, I think he was considering that. He was there floating. He was floating in front of a black hole, and then he decided to let go and start letting the black hole pull him in. And then right at the last moment, he looks over and he sees that there's a spaceship that is in distress because it's being sucked into this black hole and against, its will or whatever. So he saves it. He saves it, and he meets these people that are a race of, um, you know, bug-like creatures that are, they live life to the fullest because their lives are very short. And he is kind of overwhelmed by, I don't know if is I think it's kind of his guilt and also his sense of maybe getting a second chance. I'm not sure, but he decides
a
to
lot
try.
of emotions,
There's a lot going on, right?
a
And
lot
so
that
I kind of,
he goes through.
yeah, and I kind of feel like the whole episode was a metaphor for that dad that really f's up at being a father for one family and then moves on, gets another family, and then on paper he looks like a good dad, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Did you get that feeling? Yeah. But it doesn't mean he's actually dealt with any of his issues, right? It
yeah.
just
He didn't
he's
really address. He fixed the problem by correcting himself and not the issue that he caused.
yes.
And it's
And and, and
that's not necessarily a way. It's a way to. It's not. Oh God, it's like complex family dynamics. It's not. It's a way to heal.
you get it.
It's a
You get
way to
it.
heal yourself, but not to heal what you broke or fix what you broke. And you get to go through those emotions. I mean, that was neat. But for me, the fascinating part of it was the stuff with Mark's mom. Because you get to see the
Interesting.
flip side of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
to put it in a context, if you don't watch the show, like, if your partner was responsible for killing a lot of people, and we're
If
talking
if
thousands of people,
if your partner was Hitler.
if your partner was Hitler, and then your partner is no longer there, what does that make? What does that leave you, right? And you look dumb because how could you have not known, right?
Yeah.
But then you
Yeah.
add this extra layer, which they actually touch on, is to her, like, Omni Man's not dead. Obviously, he's just off planet.
Yeah.
So it's like everything's put on this weird pause state for her, right? Where she can't necessarily move on because he's still there. And, what do
He
you,
he could come back whenever
he
he
can come back
wants, right?
anytime. And would she take him back after what she said? Who knows? That's still the father of your child. It's like, it's some weird, I don't want to call it weird. It's some very complex emotions that this show plays with. And I think that's what really makes it interesting.
I
Yeah, the animation, the violence is cool, but it's almost like, it's akin to the boys, where the boys, they present you with these like philosophical questions almost. I'm like, it's nothing's really right. It's just like, what do you know, there's no
yeah.
right path. It's the path that you choose.
Right. Yeah,
You
and
know,
I mean his dad plays with that, right? When he's convincing Mark to help save these people because he knows the Viltrumites are coming, because he basically broke a sacred rule among the Viltrumites is you only crossbreed with human-like
mhm.
species. So they consider this offspring that he's created. He's Mark has a new half brother, with these bug people, and they consider it a lesser life form, and so when they find out, they will kill it. So he's like, Mark, you don't have to do this for me, but do this for your brother. And he's like, you can't put that on me, but like at the same time, it's complicated, right? Because Mark,
Yeah.
he wants to do good. He wants to use this power that he has to do good. And so as much as it hurt, as much as he wants to rebel against his dad and do the opposite of what his dad says, in this case, Mark knows in his heart that the right thing to do is to save these people. And so he's very conflicted, right? Because he wants to see the world as black and white. He wants to just have his dad be the villain now after everything he did. But even the villain
Not
can,
that easy.
yeah, exactly, right? And that's
Um,
that's real life, right? That's real life,
no, yeah. People are complex. I
Yeah.
appreciate that they have that rule about, only breeding with human-like species. Like I wish Marvel would have something that, or Star Wars, because like the real reason why those movies don't have aliens, or they're not like going to another planet with like aliens that look different, it's like because it's expensive, right? You want actors and you just get people on there and say
Mhm.
they're Asgardians and wipe your hands clean. But like, why doesn't Captain Marvel save non-human like people, right? Or
Yeah.
why don't the
Yeah.
Guardians hang out with more? Like it's weird. It is
Well,
weird.
the Guardians hang out with some pretty weird things.
True.
Okay, like
Like Star Wars, I appreciate the Empire. Like it's only for a while it was only white people on Empire ships.
white men. It was only
White
white
men,
men
yes,
for a
and then
long, long
they
time.
added women, and then they finally added color. But
Yeah,
no
yeah,
aliens. No aliens could work for the Empire.
yeah. But that's because they're like supposed to be analogous to the Nazis. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
that's their whole thing is they believe they're the pure race. The pure species in the universe, the galaxy, whatever. So, um, but I yeah, I liked the weird rule. It did make me question how did he make that baby with her, but I chose to look past that because it's a cool thing, and honestly, like it's sad because the Viltrumites do end up killing all those people, but Mark does manage to get the baby, I think, to safety. So it's possible that we'll see that baby come back next year when the show comes back for the and he might be fully grown up by then
Yeah, it's
too,
gonna
right?
age quickly.
Yeah, he's going to age faster than a human would, but slower than their people would. So we'll see about that. But I gotta say, where the season started and where it's gotten to was a great progression for me because like I didn't really care about this new villain that we were dealing with.
No,
Like I felt
he's not really he's been in it for maybe 10 minutes tops.
I like the clones better, like the two clone guys that he
The
recruits
clones are
to,
good. Yeah.
those guys crack me up and how the one gets super damaged and ends up like being like, yeah, now we'll know for sure which one's the clone, and that turns out to be like not a good thing, like
Yeah. Well,
because the other one
they
kills him.
I like the prestige dynamic that they pull
Ma-
where
Mauler, right? That's his name,
yeah, the
Mauler. Yeah.
Maulers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like where you create a clone clone yourself, like you gotta kill it. Like right? Like
Well,
that's like
you got to kill it if it knows it's not if it knows it's the clone or vice
yeah.
versa, right? Because so their dynamic only works if there's only two of them and they both can't tell which one is the clone. Like
Yeah.
that's hilarious. That's such a very specific thing that they've got going on, but I love it. And then I guess my other question for you, like, because I don't we don't want to stick around too long. We're at our welcome, like Marvel Spider-Man and stuff, Marvel Spider-Man 2. But Cecil, my curiosity is okay when Mark goes home
I love Cecil.
because remember the last thing that happens with Mark on the Viltrumite planet, right? Is
Mhm.
the or I mean not the Viltrumite planet, the planet with the bug aliens, is the Viltrumites show up. They do succeed in beating Mark and Omni Man, and they break Omni-Man's back, right? Like they fully break his back, and they tell Mark that they're going to take him back and have him executed, but they're letting Mark live. He's going to go back to Earth and he's going to fulfill the mission of conquering it, because if he doesn't, they're going to come and just completely obliterate everything. What is Mark going to do? What is he going to is he going to be open and honest with Cecil? Is that what he's going to do? Like, what do you think?
I don't think he's gonna be able. Well, Cecil's great. Cecil's always in great notes. That's Walter Goggins, right?
Walton Goggins, yeah.
Walton Goggins, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he tells Cecil, but I do think he tells his friends, and he forms his version of the Guardians of the Globe. Like, yo, we gotta train up to stop these dudes.
I mean, he's already on Cecil's, like bad list right now, right? Naughty list, because he left. He went against a direct order from Cecil. So do you think he tries to get back in his good graces, or like?
I don't
Is
think
it?
so, because like he doesn't he I from my understanding, his relationship with Cecil now is like, hey, I'm the best one on the planet, so tap me in when you need me, but I don't work for you, right? Like that's the kind of the
Is that? Is that it? I don't know. That's hard for me to say. Like, if I agree with that, I don't know. I feel like Cecil is somebody you want on your good side. You know what I mean? Like, he's scary. He's got a lot of power, and they've been researching ways to hurt Viltrumites, right? Like
Mhm.
that's their whole thing. They're trying to figure out if this comes to it, what are we gonna do to take out Mark, or possibly his dad if he comes back? So I was just curious. So you think he's gonna try? What chances do you think he has with his friends? I mean, I guess Adam Eve.
Adam
Adam
Eve's
Eve,
pretty great.
she's pretty powerful. Yeah. So I did like her little side story of like
I did watch
this.
that as well.
No, I meant that
Oh,
her side. Yeah, her movie was excellent. Her side story I meant in this season about like her deciding to just go bypass the bureaucracy of government and just do whatever she wants. So she builds a park for
oh,
the
the park, yeah,
people,
yeah, yeah.
and then you find out that they never built a park there because it's on top of a sinkhole. And so she probably hurt like hundreds of people because she did that, So like it goes back to that whole, with great power comes great responsibility notion that all of these kids are struggling with as they try and use superpowers. And I love this show because, like you said, it's super complex. Like it's taking real life problems and mirroring them in a superhero story. Like it's blowing them out of proportion and making them just really ugly. Like it's yeah, it's really somehow, yeah. I feel like this show does everything that
Families
it.
get ugly, man, and the show doesn't not afraid to go to those trenches, those.
Yeah, I feel like the only real difference between this and The Boys is that it does all the things that, like, special effects wise, that The Boys could not afford to do.
You know,
So like, you know what I mean? So like, but it's still dealing with the same kind of problems. It's
I forgot
just
the little boys nugget. You see, they're doing a Mexico spinoff
no.
with uh with Gael Garcia Bernal, right? Werewolf by Night. That guy
Yeah.
and Gabriel Luna Andor.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, no, that's Diego Luna, isn't it?
Diego Luna. Gabriel's Terminator. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
They're doing it's called Mexico.
The Boys Mexico is a working title.
Okay.
So
All right.
whatever is going on in Mexico in The Boys universe, yeah,
Okay. All right.
put some
I could be down.
cool yellow tone filter on it because that's what they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I think in general, like I'm just down for any superhero show that Seth Rogen produces, because like he
Well, he's
he
two for
he
two.
he
Yeah,
no, he did Preacher also.
he's three for three.
He's 3 for 3, man. Um,
But
yeah,
I think these. I mean, to be fair, they're both based on properties, right? But
Yeah,
they're
all three of them are. Yeah,
they're playing in just new spaces. It's like it's almost as if like the superhero-ness is like the backdrop for some really interesting just character
yeah.
in the boys' case is political dynamics.
Everything's a metaphor for something that
Yeah.
we can relate to, and I think
Mhm.
that's what good superhero storytelling is. I think that's kind of what what drove people uh to read those so much in the 60s, like when the Marvel comics started coming out. Like there was a lot of stuff going on in our country that was really shitty, you know what I mean? Like it's the tension with Vietnam, like the civil rights movements. Like there's so many things like going like making it's so much noise, right? And these people just wanted to like go and escape in a universe, but then they go and escape and they don't realize that these stories were serving up those same topics, but hidden inside spandex, you know what I mean? And so I think that somewhere along the line, like it just the machine of it all kind of gobbled up all of that intention and just became a cyclical, you know, thing that's churning out content because it has to sustain itself. Whereas like these indie books like The Boys or Invincible and stuff like that, they actually get to do the modern day thing that Stan Lee's books were doing in the 60s, which is be, windows into what our society
Mhm.
is and reflect back at us what's going on in our world. And so I appreciate anytime a story does that and makes you feel and I just think it's cool that you keyed in on some of the complex things that were going on with the mom and stuff. So yeah, the show's working. It's doing its job.
It's a
And
good
so
show. Who knew?
yeah, who knew? I think we
Who
knew
knew?
last season. Yeah. So I'm glad you did the homework and you watched the 4 episodes. That's
I
really cool.
binged it all.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say. I mean, I think some people can get put off by the violence.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gratuitous. I think it amplifies what happens when a Superman punches you. Just like I think the boys does a good job at it.
You want gratuitous, go watch Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh,
Have you
those
seen that?
fatalities are so good.
Oh, they're really good. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean that's all I had to say about Invincible. Like I'm glad you're enjoying it. I think we can
When
we can both recommend it. I think the second half of the season comes back next year.
yeah.
Uh, so we got to take a break. So
Do you
everybody
know
highly
where this show is at in relations? Are the books still going on?
I'm not sure. I I wouldn't be surprised if they're still going on. But yeah,
It's
I
Robert Kirkman, right, who also did The Walking Dead.
correct and Marvel
So
Zombies.
in Marvel Zombies. So if you like those things, maybe check out Invincible. Walking Dead's
Robert
big, right?
Walking Dead's pretty big, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
for a while, pretty much all of America was watching it. So
That first season was really good.
the first season is amazing. It's amazing. Everything after that is just increasingly
It's just
trashy.
still going.
I know. You
Well,
can handle it.
we won't keep going because we are gonna wrap this puppy up. So
All right.
I think you teed us up for next week. I guess we're doing Die Hard. Is that what we're doing?
Don't say it like that.
I
Say
guess we're doing Die Hard.
we're doing Die Hard. Yippee ki yay! I won't finish that, but
Mr.
yes,
Falcon.
yes, exactly. Yes, we're gonna do Die Hard. It's a hero's story, and I think it's gonna be a fun one and it's topical. Well, I mean seasonal. I guess it's seasonal.
I guess we'll
So
find. We'll figure out if it's seasonal or not.
yeah, enjoy it, and join us for that discussion. Thanks to Joel for tuning in to just say one thing about our draft and then never chime in again. Remember, anybody who happens to catch the show at any time after this, please write in the comments. It helps feed the whole whole
Yeah,
algorithm. Let us know
the
what you thought.
robots back there. Yeah, tell us if you think
Yeah,
we're good or not.
let us know if you liked our draft and which one of us you liked better. Okay. I will give one bonus point to Ricky for getting that Hulk in there. That was a good pull.
Mhm.
That was an excellent pull. It's one of my favorite games too. So, all right, guys, we're gonna take off. Do it,
With that,
Ricky.
true believers, enough said.